Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Jerry Cooey.
I'm Deborah Nelson. Thanks for joining us.
Little update here. Our marvelous person who takes care of our account, Amalia. Amalia, I know you're gonna watch this show, so I want to give a shout out. Hope your ankle is is doing better. Poor lady.
Yeah.
Feel sorry for her. She had a little industrial accident.
Yeah.
And
We hope she's feeling better.
didn't work out too well for her. So Amalia, we hope you're feeling better. From Santa Rosa Week TV, you know, I'm sure that just warms your heart that we would even mention you.
It does. She was waiting for that.
Well, folks, we had something happen in Escambia County recently.
Yeah.
We had a home invasion.
Yeah. We didn't talk about it last week because we were busy with our tour of the
Right.
industrial
We needed to do our tour, and there's 2 or 3 things that I want to get in on this story. But there was 3 fellas who obviously premeditated, first degree,
Yeah.
with a baseball bat in their hand, picked a house, knocked on the door. Homeowner opens the door, at which time they draw back with a baseball bat and hit him in the top of the head. Now, thank goodness for this fellow.
Yeah.
After seeing the wound in his head, I don't know how he managed to do it, but he is a strong believer in Second Amendment rights.
Yeah.
And he happened to have a portion of the Second Amendment with him in the form of a firearm.
Yes.
And he pulled that firearm out, and I'm happy to say that he perforated 2 of them. And the only reason he didn't shoot the 3rd one was because he was a decent enough human being that he felt bad about shooting the 3rd one in the back.
Yeah.
Now, Florida law, the Castle Doctrine, no problem. They were on his property. They assaulted him. You know, had he shot that one in the back. From the standpoint of the Second Amendment,
Yeah.
these 3 punks got exactly what they deserved.
Well, it also looks like he had the self-discipline not to shoot him somewhere vital. You know,
Right.
I mean, he didn't. I guess they both woke up in jail.
Right, after they made the trip to the hospital. Now, here is the part that I'm very troubled with. Now, folks, you have seen us discuss many times the state attorney's office, Mr. Bill Edens. Myself went to Mr. Edens and put a great deal of evidence on his table concerning what I would consider to be white-collar crime.
Yes.
Land deals and how we failed to follow the Sunshine Law and records and all of that. And Mr. Edens came back with, well, they did wrong, but they didn't mean to.
Yeah.
So we see on one side of the ledger the white-collar crime, the people who aren't thugs, the state attorney's office and in the, that encompassed some 8 or 10 people and one organization. He gave them a free pass. Now, I'm going to express an opinion about these 3 people who came to this door to assault this man. It was premeditated. They planned it out. They had a deadly weapon in their hand. They swung it at the man in an effort to kill him. They did not mean to wing him. They did not mean to disorient him. Folks, I saw the gap in the man's head. It was covered on Channel 3 News. They meant to kill him. For the state attorney's office and to put them out to bond over home invasion.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's just a home invasion. It's, you know, it was 3 kids on a lark. It was just a home invasion. You know, they just wanted to maybe steal a little gum and candy from the man.
It's hard to believe.
You know, I mean, when I look at this, folks, let's be real about this. The state attorney's office, along with law enforcement in the county in which you live, set the tone on what criminals believe they can get away with. It's no different than your children. You see your child put their hand near the oven and you give them a little pat on the back of the hand, and they will remember not to put their hand near the oven again. It's very simple. There are consequences to one's action. This state attorney, under the guidance of Bill Edens, he won't prosecute political people. Now he's not going after people who obviously, anybody who can argue that this is not first-degree attempted murder, they meant to kill this person. I don't care what they said in their interview. I don't care that the man lived and well, everything worked out. They meant to kill that man, and they had a deadly weapon in their hand. Folks, a gun is not the only thing that can be a deadly weapon.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they'd have killed him and anybody else in the house.
If he hadn't have pulled a gun and started shooting at him, they would have took another swing at him and finished the job. And it is, Mr. Edens, it is an absolute insult to the citizens which you serve to allow this kind of behavior to be called a home invasion. It is I cannot believe that they are not up for first-degree attempted murder.
I mean, they struck him with a deadly weapon.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And just because
people are killed every day in the third world with baseball bats.
Well,
with sticks.
You know, here we go. 3 thugs.
Yeah.
All they get charged with is home invasion. Well, the other 5,000 thugs that are in Escambia County, and you should all be aware that Escambia County has huge levels of gang activity. They're all thinking right now, well, gosh, they almost killed that guy. They only got home invasion. Let me see if I can cash in on the lottery. I'll take that chance.
Yeah.
You know, it is unbelievable. 2012, folks, we have an election. In that election, the state attorney's office is one of those offices that will be up for election. And while I look into this camera, I want to plead with any single person who has an interest in being the state attorney in the 4th District area, please sign up.
If they has a law degree.
That has a law degree.
Yeah.
Please sign up. We need somebody in this area that is going to be tough on crime, all the way to the people that have the cocktail parties, and all the way down to the thugs of society. We need a state attorney that will go after crime, no matter what it is. This is an insult to the citizens that you represent, Mr. Edens.
Well, especially since you have people in jail for a long time who have a little pot in their car or on their person for, you know, their personal use, and you can argue whether that should be legalized or not.
Well,
but it's ridiculous that that person's in jail on my dime.
Well, here's the difference. These 3 people tried to kill somebody.
Exactly. They struck somebody with a deadly weapon.
You know,
yeah.
I mean, I don't think I'm wrong in my thinking here.
Yeah, you could logically conclude that they meant to kill him if they struck him with a deadly weapon in the head.
When you pick up a baseball bat and you swing at the force that was swung at that guy, you meant to kill him.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's my opinion as well.
You know, I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It has been such a lackluster performance by the leadership of the state attorney's office. I say it unashamedly. Over and over and over. We just handing out passes like it's a Mardi Gras parade.
Yeah.
And when we have an opportunity to put the hammer down where the hammer needs to be put down, you embolden other gang members to do the same thing. And just absolutely
And
ridiculous.
we've actually discussed on this show trying to float a Florida state constitutional amendment to repeal that requirement where you don't have to have
Right. So you don't have to be a lawyer to run
Right.
for state attorney.
Because that really limits who's going to run. I understand there's some professional retaliation that goes on if this person, jumps up and decides to run.
Well,
if they have to worry about professional retaliation and that kind of thing.
My hope, and I try not to ask too much for Christmas. I usually like my gifts during election season. My hope is that we have somebody that will be tough on crime.
Yeah.
That will step up to the plate. That is not a respecter of persons. That it doesn't matter if you're a millionaire or if you're a penniless thug. The law means the same across the board. That's what we need.
That's not very hard to find, though, especially in this area.
That's what we need, folks. And it's just absolute insult to the citizens that this man almost loses his life and they get home evasion. Unbelievable.
I think we could just be thankful we've got the castle doctrine in this state.
Right.
And people don't have to worry about having to defend
right. And let's talk about
coming after them for defending themselves.
Let's talk about the castle doctrine, because our good friend Greg Evers, as a state legislator in the House, was the one that started that, and I've told him many times, thank you very much, folks. I hope none of you ever have to go through this, but before the castle doctrine was changed, or before it became a law, when somebody was in your house with a gun, the first thing you had to do was retreat, which normally meant you got hit in the back of the head or shot.
Well, or your car.
Or your car.
Which, that's and a lot of times even worse.
And so with the castle doctrine, I don't have to retreat anymore.
Right.
If you're on my property and you're bothering me, I am fearful of my life. That's the only trigger that I need.
Yeah.
And the good part of this story is this man did know how to use a weapon. This man believed in the Second Amendment rights, and that's what saved his life. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, if he hadn't pulled out a gun, they would have finished the job. And and of course, one of the things that we wanted to get in on the show too is the issue of open carry. Certainly the state of Florida, they relaxed the rules on having to concealed weapon.
Right.
But at that time, that also took away our right to carry openly. And Greg Evers now, who is Senator Greg Evers, has a bill on the table, and I certainly support it. That if you are a concealed carry card holder, if you went through the process and you've qualified, you have the right to open carry also, because there's been a background check and fingerprints and all that kind of stuff. And I certainly support that.
Well, I don't understand people who object to that. I mean, if you're sitting, I've had in another life had to ride the subway a lot.
When you really wanted a gun a few times.
Yeah, the city bus, and if you're sitting on the subway, even just the average muggings that occur. But I'm talking about these people that go on and they had the guy in New York City that shot the subway up, and it's just not going to happen. If you're sitting there and not only can you assume everyone else is carrying a firearm for protection, but you can actually see it.
Right.
It's just not going to happen.
Right.
Because these people are generally cowards. They're looking for weak targets.
They're looking for prey.
Right. Exactly.
I would venture to bet, and I bet I'll get a big smile out of Best Boy on this one. If there was a subway that ran from Gainesville over to Texas, I bet there wouldn't be anybody on that train messing with people.
That'd be a wet subway.
But we just wanted to, I want to throw my support out there for the open carry. I think about it makes for a politer society. It really does.
Well, it does. I'm quite happy to go into a restaurant here, or even the mall or something. I mean,
You mean like at the mall where there was a shootout
Yeah.
right before you went in?
but I mean, you in this area, you don't even think twice. You know, if some crazy person was to come in, you know that
Right.
there would be people around, at least a certain percentage of them, that would be returning fire.
Right.
And I mean, there's just been so many incidents, you know, in areas where you're not allowed to do that.
Right. Well, and look, certainly, do I believe that maybe there should be a little elevated standard of training? Yes, I don't have a problem with that. As far as proficiency standards, maybe a little bit of combat type, you know, little
Well,
higher level.
people should know enough that they're not, you know,
Right.
squeezing the trigger as they're pulling it out of their pants or something.
Exactly. You know, I don't have, you know, certainly I'm not a government control guy, but I don't have a problem with that if we take it just a little bit further and so okay, well everybody's carrying a weapon, and some fool gets out of line that has a gun and meaning harm, or you pull in the pump gas and you see somebody standing there with a gun, you know, we want to make sure folks are proficient and hitting their target.
Well, my only concern with that is that there's a course that you have to take, and I mean, if people really wanted to interfere, to infringe on that you make it expensive enough, and a section of the population will never be able to do it because it's too expensive.
Along with the gun story, and of course I sent this to my senator staff. This is in South Dakota, folks. 5 South Dakota lawmakers have introduced legislation that would require any adult 21 years or older to buy a firearm sufficient to provide for their ordinary self-defense. And I'd like my state senator to get on board with that one.
You know, until and I don't know if it's still true, but at some point in Switzerland, every citizen was required to own a gun, and that was for, you know, to protect the homeland or whatever.
Right. Well, I just, you know, I don't see what the problem is here.
Well, that's kind of like the healthcare bill where you're forcing somebody to buy something.
When the concealed weapons permit became available in the state of Florida, violent crime with handguns went down 68% in the first year.
In fact, it's amazing the hoops to which various agencies jump to not do the research to demonstrate that. But yeah, I mean that's clear that that's the case.
Right.
It's common sense too, obviously. I mean, you remember after Hurricane Ivan, you look at the looting here, you look at the looting even in Escambia, and in fact, the worst problem we had here, I think, was that a sheriff's deputy from Pinellas County in the South End was
shot at tased a citizen who was defending his own property.
Right, but then you look at New Orleans, and obviously that's
right. Now, Deborah, on another topic, healthcare. As you all know, Deborah's former candidate that she voted for, but now has disavowed.
Not for the reasons that you've disavowed him,
though. I disavowed him before he even got started.
Yeah, but he's moving towards an area where you should start to be a fan lately.
No, I don't think I'll ever be a fan of Barack Hussein Obama.
We call him Barry.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
He is awfully cute, though.
In casual settings, yeah. Obamacare. Now, so far, I've lost count. 32 states have entered into lawsuits, basically arguing states' rights. As a federal government, you don't have the right to force any citizen to buy anything.
Right.
Across the U.S., where these things have been fought out, Virginia won. I forget some of the other states, but at any rate, 2 lower level courts ruled in favor of the federal government.
Yeah.
1 had ruled in favor of the citizens that it was illegal, and then the last one, and I think the reason this one stands out so large in this is the original lawsuit of 26 states was filed in Pensacola, Florida, and it has been working its way through the court system there. And recently, the judge ruled that it was unconstitutional. The entire bill, which was very interesting. And I think one of the biggest things that I got a kick out of this ruling is that in the court documents, this judge cited Barack Obama's position in 2008 when he was a state senator.
What was his position then?
His position was that it's wrong to it's wrong to mandate things on people. So he actually there was a whole section where he actually quoted Barack Hussein Obama's words in the court ruling that Barack Hussein Obama was against it when he was running for Senate, but then when he became president, he was for mandates.
You can't mandate someone buy something from a private company.
Well, look,
Healthcare is certainly. I consider it a government service. President Obama, when he was running for office, claimed that he considers it to be a public service. The way that you work that is you open up Medicare for everybody. It takes 6 pages of legislation. You make Medicare available to everyone, and then you tax people, especially the rich. You tax the rich more because they don't pay their fair share, and then that covers Medicare for everybody. And then you get rid of the whole expensive infrastructure for the private system, insurance system. Not the medical side is still private, but the insurance is Medicare.
right.
And that would have been 6 pages, and they could have done it, and it would have been over with. And they didn't want to do that because he's taken too much money from the insurance industry, and he's just beholden to them. And so instead they came up with this convoluted mess where the second they passed it, everybody's health care premiums went up. Because
mine definitely went up.
This is the greediest industry in the United States of America, and they're going to continue to go up. And what they'll do now is they'll probably cut the good parts out. There were some good parts in it that had they just mandated Medicare for everybody, it wouldn't have been an issue. But they'll probably end up cutting those out. But I guarantee you, those insurance premiums will now never, ever go down.
Right.
They will never be reduced. And here's what else they're doing, I've noticed, is now when you go to the doctor or you go to the hospital or something, now there's a whole new wave of little nickel and diming $30 and $40 bills. You don't know what it's for. That you get 5 or 6 or 7 of them. They hit the house. They're doing that. They've upped the copay.
Right.
They've upped the deductible. Basically now, it's extremely expensive to go to the doctor, but not quite as expensive as it would be if you had no insurance. You're still going to get soaked. You're just not quite as soaked after this. It was bad before, now it's worse.
And of course, ladies and gentlemen, those are singly the opinion of Deborah Nelson, tree-hugging liberal.
Single payer.
Now, here's what, and I'm not going to arm wrestle you over positions. Here's what I think we should have done. We should have allowed cross state lines. If somebody in Omaha, Nebraska wants to furnish me with health care insurance,
right,
that I read through and I believe is a good deal for me at a lower price than what somebody in Texas is offering me, I should be allowed to do that. I think that is ridiculous to not allow to go across state lines. The other thing is on the malpractice lawsuits, the tort reform. Okay, I know for a fact, I've had a family member, true story. Lady was pregnant, the baby was diagnosed with a problem. No doubt, hands down, genetic defect. Went through the whole process, had the baby. And for 7 years, this family member lived under the threat of the next lawsuit. And it was ridiculous.
Who was suing them?
The mother was claiming that the doctor did
see.
something to the baby.
Right.
It was a genetic defect.
Right.
Doesn't matter if it was frivolous or not.
Right.
7 years worth of court documents.
I agree with you on that, but I will tell you that those costs are about 2% of the entire. I mean, they should be changed because it's because the way it works is wrong and it's a problem. But it still wouldn't make much of a difference.
Let me give you another side of frivolous lawsuits. The doctor that delivered both of my children, and he was considered a high risk pediatrician. He was very good at what he did. because of the frivolous lawsuits, he stopped delivering babies, and he was a absolute great doctor and took a teaching position at a university because he could not sleep at night wondering when it didn't matter if the case had any merit or not. The courts would let it go through.
I'm not arguing that. I agree with you. They have very expensive insurance costs because of that. I agree with you on that. It is still only 2% of the system of the expenses, but the problem with that is even if you corrected that, that would be good for the doctors. The doctors could lower their rates. Maybe more people would go into the profession. But I guarantee you, the insurance companies would still find a way to pocket the difference instead of passing it on to the policyholder.
Well,
I guarantee you.
I am certain that but
they're not going to give you a dime back without you having to wrestle.
There's some very simple things that we could have done. Now, there's one, and I always forget. Let me back up to what number one is. Number one is, and I'm going to look in the camera while I say this. Every one of you representatives, U.S. House members, and every one of your U.S. senator, you all are to be on the same health care that I'm under. As long as you sit up there in your protected glass house and get treated hand and foot, you don't know what it's like out here for the rest of us.
And we are subsidizing their treatment.
Oh, well, of course we're subsidizing
about 3/4 of it.
Absolutely.
But single payer is the other thing with single payer is then you get rid of the dual Medicare and Medicaid system. That goes away and you just have Medicare for everybody. So there's an enormous amount of expenses that are erased there.
As folks, as we close out the show, I want to mention never met this young man. Just happened to be at a football game where Milton got whacked in it. Was Milton versus Navarre, and Ian Lockwood was the reason that Milton got shellacked that night. I happened to be fortunate that night. I was sitting near some folks that was from Navarre, sitting on the Milton side, and I was able to hear the story. And I'm sad to say that Ian lost his life. He passed away from brain cancer. But I will tell you that he certainly had an impact on me, and it's obvious that he had an impact to his community and his fellow students and his teachers and the like. And Santa Rosa Week TV, we just want to take a moment to honor Ian, and I know he's in a better place today doing whatever he wants that makes him happy.
Yeah.
So that'll be all. I'm Jerry Cooey.
I'm Deborah Nelson. Thanks for watching. Good night.